Open world games are a show on their own. The freedom they give you and the option to completely ignore missions if you want makes the experience even better. In this video, everything is well organized so you can easily find the exact type of game you're looking for the way you like it. Today we're talking only about the 15 best offline open world games on the Play Store, so drop a like and let's get started. Let's kick off this list with one of those hidden gems that barely gets talked about both on PC and mobile. We're starting with MONSTONE Island. It's often described as a mix of Stardew Valley and Pokemon with a touch of Slay the Spire, and you'll quickly understand why. The game takes place in a world made up of over 100 procedurally generated floating islands. As part of your family tradition, you're sent away from home and must spend an entire year living on a flying island to complete your alchemy training. Right from the start, the game gives you a lot of freedom. You can explore at your own pace, discover new islands, and collect creatures along the way. But unlike Pokemon, where you simply choose attacks from a menu, combat here is entirely card-based, adding a much more strategic layer to battle. And even though exploration is the main focus, the game also delivers a solid life sim and farming system. You can build relationships, interact with NPCs, and yes, you can even get yourself a girlfriend if that's your goal. A lot of people think this is just another farming game, and if you believe that, you're completely wrong. Let's talk about my time at Portia. Unlike most games where you inherit a farm, here you take over your father's abandoned workshop. Your main goal is to become the #1 builder in the entire city. You'll accept commissions from townsfolk and even the local government, crafting everything from bridges and vehicles to industrial machines and furniture. Building is at the core of the experience, and progression feels extremely rewarding. The setting is also surprisingly interesting. The game takes place hundreds of years after the collapse of modern civilization, which means exploration plays a huge role. You'll explore the city itself along with caves, ruins, and abandoned structures, blending adventure with life simulation. On top of that, the social system is very deep. You can talk to NPCs, give gifts, play mini-games, and even spar with many of them in friendly fights. It's also possible to date, get married, and your partner can even help you out with tasks in your workshop. This is way more than a simple farming game. It's a full life simulator with exploration, crafting, and progression done right. Mini DayZ 2 is the sequel to the popular pixel art survival game developed by Bohemia Interactive. It's still relatively unknown on Android, but it definitely deserves attention, and that's why we're talking about it now. You start by choosing a survivor from your group, equipping them, and sending them into a specific location, forests, hospitals, or military bases to scavenge for resources. Everything you collect during these raids, food, materials, and components, is used to build and upgrade your base. You'll improve structures like the medical station, the garden, and crafting benches, which are essential for long-term survival. You can also recruit new characters, and each one comes with their own health, morale, and infection levels that must be carefully managed. If you ignore these systems, things can go downhill very fast. On top of that, Mini DayZ 2 introduced multiplayer modes, including cooperative play and PvP. This allows you to go on raids with friends, something that players had been asking for since the original game. Most games from Kemco are interesting if you're looking for a solid offline RPG, but this one manages to go a step further. Let's talk about MARENIAN Tavern Story. The protagonist is Patty, a young woman from an aristocratic family who loses everything after her brother becomes possessed by Coco, the god of poverty. To earn money and survive, Patty decides to open a tavern. Your main goal is to turn a completely failing business into the most successful restaurant in the entire region. To make that happen, you leave the city and explore dungeons, forests, and mountains where you gather ingredients and fight monsters along the way. With everything you collect, you return to the kitchen. There are over 600 recipes to discover and cook, giving the game a surprising amount of depth and progression. It feels a lot like Moonlighter, but instead of managing a shop focused on loot, here the entire management revolves around food, and of course, since it's on this list, it's fully open world, offline, and packed with classic RPG elements. When it comes to RPGs, you usually start with a character who already knows the basics, and the main objective is simply to kill enemies. This game takes a very different approach. Let's talk about Night RPG. The game puts you in the role of a brand new recruit. Your goal is to become the greatest knight in your kingdom, and that's far from easy. Your character doesn't start with basic skills. You need to learn how to properly control a sword, understand combat timing, and even learn how to sit on a horse the right way. Everything has to be learned step by step. The cool part is that you end up shaping your character exactly the way you want, with no constant pressure from quests. The open world doesn't lock you in or force progression paths on you. You can even try to chase strong enemies right at the beginning, but the chances of dying are very high. The game doesn't hold your hand. Night RPG feels almost like a character management or simulation game with a strong focus on building and fully developing a warrior rather than just rushing through combat. This game is extremely old. We're talking about a 3D title from 2012, and that's exactly why it has these visuals. Let's talk about Kingdom Quest.
I call the end ice.
You control the Crimson Guardian, an elite warrior sent by the king to protect the people across Cursed Kingdoms. The main focus is exploring the map, talking to NPCs, and completing over 120 missions. Combat happens in real time, keeping everything straightforward and action focused. As you progress, you level up your character, improve attributes like strength and agility, and unlock new combat abilities. The game doesn't really bring many new gameplay features, and honestly, that might be its biggest strength. It feels very similar to classic PS2 era games, simple, direct, and familiar. In the end, it's all about building your character and wiping out every enemy in your path. Well, this one is the definition of a classic farming game, and when I say classic, I really mean it. Let's talk about Harvest Moon Home Sweet Home. The story follows the traditional formula but with an emotional touch. You spent 10 years living in the big city and now you decide to return to your hometown, Alba. Your main goal is to revive Alba, attract new residents and tourists, and restore happiness to the entire community. Unlike other titles in the Harvest Moon series where the focus was almost entirely on farming, this one places a much stronger emphasis on social aspects, including the happiness mode. Almost everything you do, helping neighbors, completing requests, and taking part in festivals, generates happiness, which directly impacts the town's growth and atmosphere. There are also multiple marriage candidates, both bachelors and bachelorettes, and the game even includes characters from previous entries in the series, making it a true love letter to longtime fans. Between the well-known Arknights and the upcoming Arknights Enfield, the same company decided to release a fully offline game that remains largely unknown. And let's talk about ASTRIS. The combat system is the heart of ASTRIS. It blends turn-based strategy with real-time action, which makes it pretty wild and honestly hard to explain until you see it in action. You use action points to perform combos. If you launch an enemy into the air or knock them down, you can chain attacks from other characters, dealing extra damage and even recovering action points in the process. The game takes place on a planet called Alindo. You play as Yan, an investigator from Earth who travels in a futuristic trailer while exploring this exotic world. The art direction is absolutely beautiful, featuring a high-quality 3D anime style that strongly resembles Genshin Impact, and it's clear the game took a lot of inspiration from it. ASTRIS is exactly the kind of game that feels missing on Android. It's a real shame that it's still so unknown. If you enjoy survival games but hate the constant pressure of having to eat and drink every 5 minutes just to stay alive, this game is a fantastic choice. Unlike many survival titles where the environment is mostly decorative, here you can break almost everything you see, even walls, completely stripping areas down to nothing. The game removes some of the most annoying mechanics found in traditional survival simulators like hunger and thirst, limited inventory, or overly punishing death systems that slow everything down. If you die, you simply return to the last camp you visited. You'll leave a backpack with materials where you died, but you don't lose your equipment or overall progress, which keeps the experience flowing. It's also worth mentioning that the game actually has an ending, something rare for this genre. That said, you'll probably spend over 100 hours before reaching it. It manages to be punishing and engaging at the same time, which is exactly what makes it so addictive. This is a very relaxing game, even with its focus on exploration and open world, and it has only around 100 downloads on the Playstore. Let's talk about Wilderness Dune Barrens. Unlike most desert-themed games, which usually involve zombies or extreme survival, Dune Barrens has no enemies, no missions, and no timers. The goal is to have no goal at all. You're completely free to walk, run, or fly across a vast desert filled with giant dunes, massive canyons, and ancient ruins. The focus is entirely on visual style. The game uses advanced mobile graphics techniques to create heat effects, sand moving with the wind, and an impressive day and night cycle. Just like other games in the Wilderness series, you can transform into animals such as falcons or desert creatures to explore the world from different perspectives. On top of that, the game allows you to create truly impressive landscapes, making the experience feel more like a living digital art piece than a traditional game. Now let's talk about a more traditional survival game focused purely on killing zombies in an open world. This one is Dead Wasteland 3D. The game takes place in a post-apocalyptic world destroyed by a nuclear holocaust. The map is large and can be freely explored, and some areas use procedural generation, meaning certain locations change their layout with each run. The atmosphere is heavy and oppressive, with arid deserts, ruined cities, and underground bunkers. There's a day and night cycle along with weather changes that affect visibility and overall survival. Unlike DYSMANTLE, which removes several survival mechanics, this game keeps things harsh. You constantly need to watch hunger, thirst, and radiation levels, all of which can quickly put you in danger if ignored. The main loop revolves around exploring abandoned houses and military facilities in search of components to craft essential items. That said, the real focus here is third-person shooter combat, with large numbers of zombies constantly standing between you and survival. This is one of those games that feels very similar to GTA or, on Android, the Gangstar series, but it has an interesting twist. Let's talk about criminal Russia, Boris. The story revolves around Boris, an ordinary guy who ends up in a tough situation after his brother Ivan gets arrested. With no money and struggling to survive in a hostile city, Boris joins the local mafia. He starts his criminal career as a car thief, slowly climbing the ranks until he eventually tries to become the head of the mafia. One feature you rarely see in GTA-style clones is the ability to use public transportation. You can actually move around the city by taking buses, trams, and taxis, which adds a lot of immersion. Another interesting detail is the freedom of choice. You can work for the mafia and make a lot of money, or take a more honest path, or not so honest by working as a taxi or bus driver. The game works fully offline and even includes a story mode. At the same time, there are online servers where co-op and PvP are very active, letting you interact with other players if you want. CHRONOMON. Monster Farm sits exactly at the intersection between Stardew Valley and Pokemon, and that's exactly what we're talking about now. Unlike most farming games where animals exist only to produce resources, here the monsters are your battle companions and your farm helpers, almost like a lighter version of Palworld. Your CHRONOMONs can be assigned to specific farm tasks, such as watering crops or breaking rocks, which helps automate part of your daily work. You can customize your house and the monster stables, and there's a village full of NPCs where you can build friendships, trade items, and uncover hidden secrets. It might not look like it at first because of its pixel art style, but the truth is that CHRONOMON Monster Farm is extremely deep and surprisingly addictive. This is one of those hidden games you'll only find on a channel that actually digs deep to uncover new and interesting titles. Let's talk about ARCANE VALE. The story begins with your character searching for the lost legacy of your father. You're thrown into an unknown world and must prove your worth both to the locals and to yourself. There are no quests guiding you and no single correct path. You're free to explore forests, deserts, caves, and ruins in any order you choose. Combat is flexible. You can fight using swords, bows, or wield magical staffs to cast powerful spells. The overall feel of combat is somewhat reminiscent of roguelike style action. There's also a robust crafting system allowing you to create your own gear, potions, and even decorative items. In the end, the game blends action roguelike mechanics with adventure while offering an open world focused on exploration and uncovering the truth behind your father's mystery. We're ending this beautiful list with another survival game, but this one is different from the rest. Let's talk about After That Day. The game is developed by the indie creator Bozzy Games and focuses on a post-apocalyptic open-world experience. You're free to explore different biomes ranging from dense forests to abandoned urban areas and deserts. The game truly doesn't have quests or a story mode trying to hold your hand. Even though the visuals are simplified using a low-poly style, the game manages to create a strong atmosphere of loneliness and constant danger. Threats come from all directions, not just zombies, but also animals that can kill you and even other humans, with hostile NPCs scattered throughout the world. The experience is mainly focused on offline single player, but there's also a separate co-op mode if you want to open a server and survive alongside your friends. Our offline open world game is you can play anytime, here, no internet, nada. If you enjoy it, leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and see you next video. Bye!